Okay, Gary. Good to see you again, man. Welcome back. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to touch base on some of the highlights in the class and just kind of review a few things, so you could kind of just work on what we did. All right, so first things first with the warm-ups, just to recap, what we did is we did the 1-3-5, 1-5-8. We're specifically working with the first, the ring finger, and the pinky. So you're going to be this way. Just like that. Again, 1-5-8. 1-3-5, 1-5-8. Right, and do it for all the strings. 1-3-5, 1-5-8. Okay, so that was the 1-3-5, 1-5-8. When you do it backwards, right? 8, 5, 1. 5, 3, 1. All right, so practice that. Okay, so the next one we did was the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7. All right, but what we're going to do with this particular one, we're going to kind of, we're going to go back. We're going to go forward and back, but we won't repeat the first note. So it'll be like this. And then we go to the next string. And then the next string. And then the next one. Now when we go back up the strings, you're going to go. All right, so you'll just do it that way. And then we did the half steps. Okay, those were, as I mentioned in class, those are quarter notes. You only get one beat. And 4 of those quarter notes are going to fill up a measure. And I will show you what a measure is next week. You probably already know what the measure is, but it's the structure that holds the beats in it, and the standard amount of beats that the measure holds is 4 beats. So that's what this particular exercise kind of stresses, is 4 beats in the quarter notes, right? So that's hitting the string once, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hitting the note once, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one measure. A second measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Now, when you hit the note 2 times per note, that's going to be eighth notes. That's going to be an eighth note, right? So 1 end, 2 end, 3 end, 4 end. 1 end, 2 end, 3 end, 4 end. 1 end, 2 end, 3 end, 4 end. That's what that is. All right, so the triplets are 1 end, 2 end, 3 end, 4 end. 1 end, 2 end, 3 end, 4 end. 1 end, 2 end, 3 end, 4 end. All right, so 1 and then 2 and. So those are the triplets. And then the 16th notes, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Right, so that's how you're going to count that. All right, so those for every pulse, you're gonna add different pulses, mini pulses to it, and we're gonna condense it into the equivalent of 1 beat, right? So that's what that is. All right, so go over those warm-ups because it has theory in it, especially that one. All right, so real quick, the G major scale went this way. We went 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3. What was happening? You did the scales correctly when you were going from the 6th string to the 1st string. But what would happen is when you were going back, that's where some of the mistakes were taking place. So it's not a biggie. It's not a big problem. Just like you said, just practice the scales over and over again. Right? Now, when you did the G, we also did the arpeggio, which was 3, 2, 5, 5, 5, 2, 3. Right? Then we did the C major. But before I go into that, the G chord, we had the option of putting the pinky on the first string, 3rd fret, the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, and the pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and playing the G that way. We had that option, or you could put your ring finger, boom, on the 1st string, 3rd fret, instead of the pinky. You could also do that. All right. And then, okay, so you had the scale and you had the arpeggio and the chord itself for the G. Then we had the C major scale, same numbers, pattern for the first octave, which would have been 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, except you're just starting on the 5th string. So 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5. Now for the second octave, we slid the pinky from the 5th fret to the 7th. Right? And then we went to the 2nd string, 5th fret. So it'll be 5, 6, 8, and then 5, 7, 8 for your first string. All right, so that was the C. The best way to remember that, for the C, it just gets tricky because you have to slide the pinky from the 5th fret to the 7th fret on your 3rd string. Okay? And the arpeggio went this way. Same shape, same fret numbers as the G major, except you're starting on the 5th string. Okay? I'm going to touch base on the other stuff that we did. And the chord went this way. All right? So the C, 3rd fret, 5th string, 2nd fret, 4th string, skip down to your 2nd string, so you're going to be on the 1st fret of the 2nd string with your pointer finger. So that's it, right? Okay, now we did just those 2 scales, and what I showed you from the 2 scales is this. You have a G, and you had the form or the pattern for the G major scale. And I said, okay, Gary, play an A major scale. All you have to do from where you are is go a whole step. So you're going to skip a fret, and you're going to go to your 5th fret. You're going to do the same form. Now that's an A major scale. You covered 2 octaves of that. And I said, okay, now you're going to skip 1 fret or go a whole step, and you're going to go to your B, which is your 7th fret. Same pattern. That's a B major, right? Now I said, okay, from there you're going to just do a half step, because I don't know if you remember this, but from the first class on, I always used to stress there's no sharps between the B and the C or the E and the F. All right, so from this B, which is your 7th fret, you're just going to go to your 8th fret, just a half step. You're going to proceed to do that same form, shape, or pattern. So it's, and that is a C. All right, so what I pointed out is you had a couple of different places where you know how to play the C major scale, both octaves. You have it here. That's 1 octave. This is another octave. And then you have it here. That's 1 octave. And that's another octave. So there's actually four different spots. So that's pretty cool. All right. Now, here's one more thing that I didn't show you. All right, the same concept that you use for the shape of the major scale pattern on your 6th string, you could also use that for the major scale pattern starting on your 5th string as a root. So since this is a C, if I go from C and I skip a fret, or I do a whole step, That changes the whole key to D major scale. Same shape, right? Now I'm at the D, I can slide over to the E. Here's something pretty interesting. I go to the E and I do the same shape, right? Now, since I'm at the E, I don't have to do a whole step because there's no sharps between the B and C and E and F. And so I just do a half step, I'm at the F. And I do the same shape. Now, here's the interesting thing. I was on the 7th fret when I was on E, and I just did a half step to the 8th fret. When I was on the 6th string, I was on the 7th fret, and I was on B, and I did a half step, and I was on C. So they line up pretty well on those two locations. Okay, so that's just something that's kind of neat that you could work on. Kind of observe certain patterns, and you'll come up with different things that you find. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to show you real quick was the chords. Now, we are usually familiar with playing the open chords a certain way with the fingers. I'm going to show you something. We're only dealing with major chords right now. So what we did today was we worked on the C, we worked on the G, because we were playing chords with the arpeggios, right? So the chord structures were C to the G, and then it was D to the A, right? And then it was E to B, all right? So I'm just going to do a highlight on that. When we did the E, we had this. All right, so what I said to do is to place your middle finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string, pinky on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. And just behind the nut of the guitar, just put your index finger. And then you're just going to slide it a half step because there's no sharps between E and F, so this is going to be an F position, right? So you're going to play that. You have an F chord. This was an E chord. You move it a half step, becomes an F chord. Then you move it a whole step to your 3rd fret. That becomes a G chord. You move it a whole step. That's an A chord. Move it a whole step. That's a B chord, and no sharps between B and C, so the half step would be a C. That's your 8th fret. Okay, so E, all you do is slide it to the F. That was a half step, whole step G, whole step A, whole step B, half step C. There you go. From the 5th string, see these are bar chords that you can use from your 6th string, and you can keep going, all right, and just see all the chords you can play. From the 5th string, what you have is this. Instead of playing the A major this way and using the open string as a bar, as the root, you're going to still use the open string as a root, but you're going to keep your index finger just behind the nut of the guitar. You're going to use the pinky on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and you're just going to play it just like an A chord right there. Now you're gonna go a whole step. That's going to give you a B, because that's a B right there. Your root is your 2nd fret of your 5th string. No sharps, so you're just going to do a half step, and that's a C chord. That's your C major chord right there, right? And then whole step D, whole step again to your 7th fret E, and again you have a half step there because you're at your 7th fret. That's an F. All right, so watch this. Your 3rd fret was C, right? And your 8th fret was C. All right, so I'm pointing that out because if you're doing a couple of songs, they use the C a lot. If you ever get mixed up and there's a certain pattern where it's like from a C to a D to something else, it might be easier to do it in one of these positions those three notes, or or whatever the sequence of chords are. So that's why it's very helpful to know the different spots on your guitar to do those chords, right? Because you might favor a certain area of your guitar for certain chord progressions. Okay, so that's the reasoning behind it. Okay, so you have a C here, you have a C here, you have a C here, you also have a C here. That's a miniature, a half octave of a C. Okay, you have a heavy octave up here if you wanted to play it, just those notes there. All right, and you have your arpeggios as well. You can do arpeggio here, and you could do arpeggio here. Sorry about that. That's for the C. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on there. Rewind this and go over certain points, and you'll find a whole lot of different things that you can do with these progressions. Okay, so I think that is all we're going to do for today. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, or you can send me an email and let me know if you found some new things or if you have any questions. All right, thank you very much, and I will see you soon. God bless.